Good afternoon, everybody. How we all doing? How we all doing? Yes, my name is Coach Brock Zevian. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate coach, and a DAD. And first and foremost, it's been great being here. I've been listening in, balancing work, balancing several different things, but able to listen. So I'm going to do something that Coach Joe is going to get he's going to get a little bent out of shape, but that's what we're going to do here because when you're coming up after a break, and we're talking about perseverance. And I'm about to share with you a story of mine. I always feel that it's important to kind of get a little crazy. So, this is what we're going to do. Coach Sinnona didn't like you guys going off of mute, but guess what? I like when you go off of mute. So, I want everybody to unmute themselves, and then on the count of three, we're going to wish each other a very happy Friday and where you're calling us from. So everybody come off of mute, come off of mute. If you can be on video, I want to see you on video. I like to see some smiling faces. We're going to gear this up on this Friday. So come off of mute. Now we're going to find out who's near their computer. People are like, oh shit, I'm not even near my computer right now. I can't even find the mute button. So I'm pushing some envelopes today because I want to take you to a level that you've never been before. I want you to be 1% better when you get done with this. And so come off of mute. On the count of three, we're all going to say happy Friday, and you're going to tell me where you're calling from. One, two, and three.
Happy
Happy
Friday
Friday
con
con
Dallas,
Miami,
I
New
know.
Miami
York.
Beach.
I
Aventura.
like
Happy Friday, Miami.
there. See, I always love it. You always get those people that just like, I want to make sure they know where I'm at. A lot of Miami people. I got a couple Miami people. If you get excited in the chat, tell me where you're calling from. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my business, but why it's so important is because I do 100 referrals a year. And I used to do zero. So it's important that you never know. You should be all taking screenshots of who these people are on here today. And you should go look them up on Facebook. You should go find them. You should be like looking them up and engaging with them and saying, I was just on with Coach Sinnona and I wanted to introduce myself because I might have some business for you. You never know. That's what it's all about. Because if we're going to persevere all and we're going to move the needle, you can't be doing the needle just sitting there. It doesn't work. I've tried it. I've done it. When I looked at the speaker lineup, how many of you know Ricky Caruth? How many of you, a lot of you probably know Ricky Caruth. All right. I saw him at the end. I saw the beginning stage. We had Aaron leading us off. Guys, as a speaker on Zoom, it's freaking hard to get everybody fired up and excited and engaged. It's hard. Okay. I've done probably close to my lifetime, probably over 3,000 Zooms. And it's hard. Why? Thank goodness to COVID, because COVID really gave us this platform. And we're going to talk about that today. But it's important to understand when I looked at the speaker lineup, and I was like, Coach Joe, you put me right after a break. You know how hard that is to come after a break? I really got to persevere. I got to really move the needle. I got to really provide some energy because it's a Friday. We just listened to Stephanie. I was all fired up because I call it $1 Million Mondays and I call FISBOs and expireds all Mondays. That's what I do to get luxury listings. So there's strategies that people are sharing with you. So I had to persevere. I was like, all right, what am I going to be speaking? And he's got me after a break. Wonderful. It's kind of like when
My GPS took me the really long way to get here.
the GPS took her a long way. She's all over the place.
I don't
The
know. My
GPS,
GPS
we're
took
not
me
even
around
too
the
sure
entire
where
neighborhood.
she's at.
Dude, how
Some
old?
people get excited because they're like, oh, shoot, I forgot that I'm still on mute. I'm not on mute. It's okay. We'll get through it. It's not the first time it's happened to me. But here's the thing, all. When you are persevering, there is something that is going to speak to you today. When I prayed this morning, I get up at 4:40 and I asked God, I said, God, whatever gift that you have lined up for me today to share with somebody, today I'm going to share with somebody on here today. In some capacity, I'm going to touch somebody today. And it will move you in some capacity, just like when I listen to other people and I listen to these speakers, it will move you. Some might be moved by Aaron. Some might be moved by Stephanie. Some must by Michael or Jason or Ricky or Trey. Some might be me. I might be speaking to you today. You never know when the opportunity is coming. And so when I was looking at this, and I was just like, all right, I got to persevere right after the break. I got to be ready to go. I got to be ready to bring some energy. I got to be able to bring something that you walk away with today. And so, in order to do that, and I was just like, who am I going to speak to? Some of you are going to feel like it's just you and I right here. So, I want you to stay in that zone. And so, I said, you know what? Perseverance. What the hell does perseverance really mean? I have a kind of a sense of it. So, I was like, you know what? I'm going to look it up. I want to look up perseverance. And it says, I want you all to read it right here. It says perseverance. Read it together. You don't have to come off of mute because we don't want to get Coach Joe all upset now. But perseverance is doing something despite difficulty, obstacles, or delay in achieving success. The ability to finish what you started when you seem lost. I'm going to say that again. Finish what you started even when you seem lost. Put a 5 in the chat if you felt lost before. Put a 5 in the chat if you felt lost before. Put a 5 in the chat if at some point in your life, at some time, when you were in middle school and high school and college, hell, it could be right now. Put a 5 in the chat that you're like, damn, I'm freaking lost. I don't know what the hell to do. There's many of us right now who are driving around in the car. Envision this. You're driving around in the car. You got the tool, you got the car, you got the wheels, you got the gas, you got the wheel, but you don't have a freaking address. You don't know where you're going. But we're driving. We're doing it. I was listening to Stephanie with the luxury market, and I was hearing her say her story and what she was sharing. Like, she has a vision and a plan, and now she has action behind it. Tony Robbins says massive action all is what creates the energy to do what you want to do, to move the needle. So then I took perseverance and I was like, well, what the hell's opposite of perseverance? Let me get an idea of what the opposite of perseverance is. And so, of course, I go to my friendly chat GPT, went to good old Google, and it says the opposite of perseverance is procrastination. I'm talking to somebody right now, aren't I? I want you to think about it. Put a 7 in the chat. How many of you right now, be honest, be vulnerable. That's why you're here. Put a 7 in the chat. How many of you, Jay, put that up one more time, please. How many of you are procrastinating on one of your goals? Coach Joe, you be right there too, because I know you got a big vision right now, some big things doing this summit. I know right now you were hoping for 250 people and you're like, damn, where's this password? This isn't working. I tried this. I don't know what the hell, but this is just the beginning. This is part of the process. Procrastination is not doing it again. I'm going to postpone or delay an action. And some of us are doing it. Some of us put 7s on here and some of us might not even be paying attention. Procrastinating is our biggest enemy. Do you know the greatest enemy of completion, what that is? It's called procrastination. Thank you, Jay. Now let's put up both of them actually. And we measured both of them and we put procrastination on one side and we put perseverance on the other side. And so when you look at that, I want you to read it to yourself and say, okay, it seems like perseverance is the endurance and to keep going on, the tenacity, the ability to keep moving forward. How many of you, put an 8 in the chat, have the capacity and functionality, you have the power to move forward today? Put an 8 in the chat. If that is you, I can freaking do it, Brock. I could do it right now. I got it. I see it. I got to take action on it. Because the antonyms of that is give up, quit, surrender, and who the hell wants to do that? Because that's what the average person does, and we're not average. We're not average. That's why we're on here on a Friday afternoon where other people are probably here in Charlotte. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's about 75 degrees. I guarantee I'm next to Lake Norman. People are like, this could be our boat's first Friday. Let's get out there. We're excited about that. So as I was thinking about procrastination, thank you, Jay. And as I was thinking about procrastination, I'm going to be 47 years old this year. And I said, when I was praying, I was thinking about what I was going to write this morning. I was texting Coach Sinnona. I said, God, why the hell did you have me procrastinate so long on my success? Why were you having me procrastinate? Why did I have to go through so much hell and back to get to this point. And maybe some of you right now are asking yourself that question. Why the hell do I have to go through this? Why do I got to go through this pain? And as I was studying perseverance, and as I was looking at procrastination, and as I was praying, God put inside of me, he says, Brock, I wasn't procrastinating you. I was processing you. And that's why I got this shirt right here that says, trust the process. That's why I wore it for this day. See, the procrastination is part of the process, all. That is what God wants us to go through to grow through this. He wants us to trust the process. But we sometimes lack the faith because things don't go the way that we want. And it's like, woe is me. Am I talking to somebody right now? Am I talking to somebody who's in victimhood? Am I talking to somebody who's sideways right now? Am I talking to somebody that your plan's not working? I got news for you. It happens on God's time, not on our time. He's the one that's in control. And the moment that Brock decided to surrender, things started to take shape. See, you have to be broken before the blessings take place. You have to be tested before the testimonial comes. There's no way Coach Joe is asking me to speak to you all. If I lived a happy, blissful life and won the lottery and was sitting on Lake Norman on the yacht with Tina, sipping on a margarita, you'd be like, well, Brock, you didn't really have too much perseverance. I mean, hell, you just walked out of the boat and you got it and you went to the store and you got a drink and like, there's no perseverance. How many of you, let's get to the double digit numbers. I get excited with double digit numbers, Coach. How many of you have faced perseverance? Put a 10 in the chat. In some capacity, some way, you faced perseverance in the last year. In the last year, put a 10 in the chat. If you face, where's Jason? He says he's in freaking 10x pain right now. I want him to stop traffic and be like, brother, let's talk. Put a 10 in the chat if you honestly to yourself, Brian, Richard, Louis, Esther, Elizabeth, David, Alexander, all of you, Margaret, Pamela, Denise, are you going through anything right now, perseverance, to get through to your to the next version of you? Now, I like to ask your permission. Lean into everybody on this. I like to ask your permission that if I can go back in time, and while I'm going back into time, I want you to go back in time and yourself to think about a challenging time. If everybody's okay with that, okay, put a yes in the chat for me. I'm going to go to three letters, Coach. We're going out of the numbers and we're going to letters. Put a yes in the chat if you're okay to give me permission to go back to time, because I want to do something here to show you my life on how I am here today. So Jay, if you could show them what I used to look like. This was me at about 212 pounds. I was drunk in this picture. I had my kids on the water. We were at some campground. And at this very moment, this was back in 2013 and 2014. And I look at this picture and I look back at my old self. See, this journey I'm about to take you on, all, thank you, Jay. This journey I'm about to take you on is not one that lasted 3 months, 3 years, 6 years. This is about 13 years of hell. And sometimes God puts us through hell because he sees a better version of us on the other side of it. At the time period, I didn't even have no idea what my life was about to take place. What I've learned during this time period of 2013 and 2016, that I became a very good functioning alcoholic. And that I was able to drink, and I would start my day with a bottle of wine. And then I knew that I can get Maker's Mark, and I would put it in my McDonald's soda. And then I would finish my day with vodka. I know, Stephanie, I said the same thing when I say it out loud, like, damn, seriously? See, that's why I like seeing people because I can see your face reactions. Because this story is one that is not one that I'm proud of. I'm proud of the process that God took me through, but I was a miserable wreck all. I had zero faith in me. I grew up Catholic, just like Joe. Grew up Catholic from upstate New York, Binghamton, Syracuse area. Anybody upstate New York people here? And what happened was I started to learn that my family had alcoholic tendencies, and I just took it to the next level. How many of you are one of those people? I'm all in. I'm all in. And I would go all in, good or bad. And what happened was during this time period of my life, I was drinking pretty heavily. I was functioning though. I was working. I was making really good money. I was a school teacher and assistant principal in the school system for 12 years. I started in real estate in 2007. Market crashed. How many of you remember 2007? How many of you were in the business in 2007? Wasn't it a fun time? But I knew something had to change. I didn't know what yet. So I went to rehab. I went to a couple different places. I started going to church like 4 times a week, tried all these different things to work through myself. I wasn't getting the answer. I was still drinking. I was still womanizing. I was still at the clubs. I was still at the bars. I was still drinking and driving. Things that I don't recommend for anybody. And in 2016, September 7th, a week beforehand, something happened to me and I didn't get in any trouble or anything else like that. But I came to the realization, I read the book. How many of you read the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller? How many of you read the book, The One Thing? Put a one in the chat if you read the book. If you haven't read the book, strongly recommend it. I read the book, The One Thing, and I was going into, guys, I was going into freaking therapy drunk. I wouldn't say drunk, but I had some shots in me before I would go to it. I knew what they were going to ask me. I knew the whole game of everything else. I was a narcissistic, selfish prick, is what I was, an a-hole. And I was going through this. And one day it came to me and said, you know what, Brock? If you don't change, you're not going to walk your daughter down the aisle. Some other man's going to. You'll be watching it, or somebody will tell you you'll get a phone call from jail. I wasn't a bad person, but it was just a matter of time until I got caught. And so I was just like, I got to do something. I read The One Thing and I fought it. And I finally made the decision. I wanted it. That's the biggest difference. Perseverance, you have to want it. You got to fight through this. And I wanted it really bad, but I just didn't know how. Somebody was talking about direction. So on September 7th, I stopped drinking for the first time. I eventually drank again on Halloween, October 31st, 2016. And I've been working on my sobriety ever since that day. But see, at that date was just when my storm was about to start. I think Jason talked about the storm. There's 3 versions of a storm of life. You're going into the storm, you're in the storm, or you're coming out. That's the versions of life. Some of us might be in it, some might be out of it. But I did this. And that was when my storm was just escalating. I thought I was getting through it, and it was just like, damn, it's about to go down. God was like, you know what? I'm preparing you for the worst of the worst right now. So I go through this, and I get knock on the door, Keller Williams' office. How you doing? Is Brock Zevian here? And I heard my name around the corner. I was like, oh, what do I have here? Maybe I have somebody that wants to talk to me about selling a house. I go to the table. I go to the front. I remember it to a T. She goes, I can't remember her last name, but her first name is Marcia. I'm Marcia from the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. Do you have a minute? Damn. See, I stopped drinking, but my storm of my past and all my luggages were about to be unraveled. They sat down, they gave me a binder about this thick, and trust me all, when you go to the real estate commission for whatever it is, you better not have a binder this big. It's not good. They sat down with me and they started pulling out checks and they started pulling out money and escrow accounts and everything else. And they started asking me all these questions. I didn't know at the time that like you could get an attorney. It's a little plug in for you for anybody who gets in trouble. You can get an attorney, don't have to answer. And so I was answering questions and everything else like that. Guys, I fought a lawsuit battle for 2 years. 2 years. There literally is my report that happened to me that became public record. And it wasn't good. I lost my brokerage license. I lost my broker in charge license. I was probationary period. I name it, I had it. Thank you, Jade. So as the lawsuit's about to begin, now remember, I was recovering alcoholic. So as I'm recovering being an alcoholic, what I've also was keeping secrets, because when you're an alcoholic, you don't tell anybody, it's a secret. So my wife had no idea what the hell was going on. No clue. As we're preparing to buy our new house, and we're buying a house in a $500,000 community at the time period when the real estate market was a little bit different. That was a pretty established home. I just looked at the market now is about $1 million now, to give you a reference of where it was. So it was in a country club. As I'm going through this lawsuit, she doesn't know about it. She then tells me, and so Stephanie, when I heard your story today about a miscarriage, I know what I don't know what it is as a female, but as a husband, it's hard news. And so she came home crying. It was the day that we were moving in the house and she had a miscarriage. She found out. My dark days were just about to start. I was about to be broke like no other. I say broke is a season, poor is a mindset. And boy, was I ever tested during this time period. As you saw from my lawsuit, and for those that, obviously it's not like you're really reading it, but my lawsuit came down in 2018. At the end of 2018, my wife got pregnant. And so in December 10th, 2018, I lost my real estate license for a year. No clue what the hell I was going to do. I had no money, was pretty much almost bankrupt, and we had a newborn along the way. 2019 was one of the hardest years of my life. I'm going to read something because if I don't, sometimes I forget what it is, and I want to make sure that people really understand the hell that I went through. Not because I want you to feel bad for me, but Coach Joe wanted us to talk about perseverance. Because every single one of you on here can overcome any single thing. Because if I can do it, any one of you on here can do whatever the hell you want, if you have the perseverance to fight through it. This is in no chronological order, but this I can tell you happened in the first 6 months of 2019. By the way, reiterate, I don't have a real estate license. I don't have a job. In 2019, Brielle was 12 years old. My wife at the time, Laura, was about 6 months being pregnant, and we were expecting in August. At the same time period it happens, we get separated. My marriage was completely ruined because the storm of my drinking was catching up to me. See, I might have stopped drinking. I might have been okay, but my luggage and everything that you do with the shit show was following right behind me. My house was foreclosed on that year. Lost the house. Both my cars were repossessed. That little image that you saw, why I said it was public knowledge, I was on the HOA. I was the president of the HOA, and they didn't like me because I was a real estate agent. So some of the other real estate agents started to publicize it, and they posted it all over Facebook. So my wife and my daughter couldn't even go to the pool without a conversation being said, "Is that your husband that was in the bulletin? Is that him on Facebook?" My daughter was at daycare. That was $1,200 a month. I was behind on that. During that time period, I bounced in 2019 over 30 checks. I was $155,000 in IRS debt and was about to go to jail. Somebody got mad at me for what I was doing, and they called DSS services on me. Still to this day, I carry the letter because it is my motivation. So when Stephanie says, "What's your why?" It's kind of hard to really explain it at the time, but this letter is my why. People are ruthless. They will take anything from you, and they try to take my children. So for those of you who have children, imagine the government coming right into your house and saying, "We need to talk to you. We need to see what type of father you are." My credit cards were maxed out. It was about $500,000 in debt. I had a lot going on. It's hard sometimes to talk about this because it brings you back to that moment. It brings you back to those dark days. So as I'm going through this lawsuit, I still have to try to work. I still have to try to make money. So I had 4 people on my team, but every day I would show up to work. People would think I was nuts. This guy doesn't have a license. He's still here. Jay, if you could show him my team. I showed up every single day, and they told me, "Brock, nobody's going to come to an event." Hold on a second, Jay. They told me nobody's going to come to an event, Brock, that you put on because of your real estate license. I said, "Watch me." We packed the place. Go to the next one, Jay. I was told that I couldn't build an office. Here's my team. Here's people that came around me. I didn't have a real estate license, but I showed up every single day and pretended and was a fighter. Just like some of you have already fought battles. I kept fighting. They told me I couldn't build a wall. I couldn't build an office. And if I built the office, I would have to build it myself and pay for it myself, which I had very little money at the time. So guess what I did? Jay, show them the next picture. I took an office and I built it myself with one of my contractors. And I built the wall. Created a huge office space. And then this is what it looked like. Uh-oh. Jay, you got to show at least the finished work. That was a lot of work. Nope, not that one. She's working on it all. She's figuring it out. She's figuring it out. While she's figuring it out, here she comes now. There's the finished office space. I created my own prospecting room. I created my own office space. I bought my own furniture. I put it all together myself. I was like, I'll just do it myself. So I built, the reason why it was so important for you to see that is so I built this office space that the owners of the company are like, because Keller Williams at the time, well, still was franchise, is individually owned. They said they brought me in the office at the end of June, July. I started to grow my team. I was at 4 people. I ended up having 18 people. They didn't understand it. They're like, "What the hell, man? How you keep doing this?" And so I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to speed up my story. So as I get into the office, I remember the owner, the broker in charge, and the team leader come up to me and said, "Hey, man, we got to talk to you." I said, "Yeah, what's going on, guys? I'm so excited. It's my birthday next week. I'm ready to rock and roll." They say, "Yeah, you got to leave Keller Williams." I said, "What? What do you mean I have to leave Keller Williams?" They're like, "We didn't think you'd still stick around. You don't have a license and you're still here." So I was just like, what about my team? They said, "Your team can stay, but you have to leave." I held an offsite meeting. This is where God showed me leadership in me. I had an offsite meeting. I told everybody my situation, what was taking place. And I said, "Listen, you got to you all can either pick which side you want to go to." And they said, "We're coming with you." So all 18 people came with me. We built an office. I walked into the office at the time period. Jay, show him this picture here real quick. Well, not the other picture, but I walked into an office and that's what I came to. And they said, I have 10 days to move out. I didn't sleep for about 7 days building this office space. Within 10 days, as you can see, Jay showed the other picture. This is what we built, and the team was working in 14 days. Everything was really going good until March 15th in 2020. As we all know, COVID took place. COVID happened, and everything fell apart again on me. I've had a lot of ups and downs, all. I fought through. I lost my office space again in 2020 because the lease, he didn't want to renew my lease. I had to go to another office space. I still have another office space. Everything, all that money I spent in that office ended. I went to another office. I had it at a brewery. The owner of the company didn't like us because we were bringing in too many people. He said he didn't want this many people here. We ended up moving. Throughout all of this, I say to you, you're going to have your ups and downs. The perseverance is so important to understand all. During this time period, I've learned I still have made $250,000. The year I lost my license, I made $287,000 because I didn't let the outside noise get to me. Jay, if you could show the last picture, please. Today, this is me and my kids. This was us at the beach. You want to know my why? Doing the difficult things, the obstacles. I run a podcast show, Mindset Motivation with Joe is on. I run a podcast 255 times a year. I run a national prayer call. I wrote a book. I've been an elite icon agent, both at EXP and at Real. I run a virtual agency company now. And as Myron Golden said in one of his coaching class, going from completely broke, fighting through persistence, I'm in the top 7% of income earners in the country. Why? Because I didn't let things get to me. I kept fighting in some capacity, in some way. And today, I want to be able to help somebody here today in whatever that might look like. So, Joe, I probably went over, and I tend to do that, but I get all fired up sometimes because it just pains me when I see people. There's
Not
my
at all.
contact
Not at all.
information if I can help you in any way. I'm a life coach, and people say, Brock, how did you get that? I said, I've been through a lot of shit. And if I can get through it, you can get through it. And without faith in God helping me, there's no way I'd be here today.